Whenever you take a medication, you're placing this incredible amount of trust in a tiny pill or a little vial of liquid. Trust that it's safe, trust that it's actually going to work, and trust that the very last dose in that bottle is a perfect match to the first one. So, where does all that trust come from? Let's get into it.
So how can you be so sure? How is that trust really guaranteed? It's not about random spot checks, and it's definitely not just hoping for the best. Nope, the consistency you and I rely on is the result of a super rigorous, totally deliberate system.
That's right. Nothing is left to chance. It's all engineered. There's a formal, scientific process working behind the scenes for every single drug and medical device. And it builds quality in from the very first step. And that system has a name. It's called process validation. Honestly, it's the backbone of pharmaceutical manufacturing, and it's the reason we can have such an incredibly high degree of confidence in our medicines. So here's the official definition from the US FDA. Let's kind of pull this apart. Documented evidence, that just means you need hard data, real proof. Consistently produces, well, that's the whole ballgame right there. The process has to give you the exact same result every single time, meeting all its predetermined specifications. And make no mistake, this isn't just a friendly suggestion. Process validation is a legal requirement under what's called Current Good Manufacturing Practices, or cGMP. It covers everything from aspirin to complex medical devices. It is the scientific proof that a company's process is capable and in control, which is, absolutely fundamental to keeping us all safe. Okay, so how do they actually pull this off? It's not a one-and-done kind of thing. Process validation is this continuous life cycle that follows a product from the moment it's just an idea all the way through routine production. And this whole life cycle is broken down into 3 really clear stages. First, you design the process. Then, you qualify it to prove it works. And finally, you just keep verifying it, making sure it stays in control. Let's take a quick look at each one.
All right, stage 1. This is the architectural phase. Think of it like creating the master blueprint for a massive skyscraper before anyone even thinks about pouring the foundation. All the knowledge from early development gets poured into designing a commercial process that's just built for consistency.
Now in stage 2, it's time to stress test that blueprint. This is process qualification. This is where the design goes from paper to the real world. And the whole point is to prove with cold, hard data that the process works perfectly and repeatedly at full commercial scale, not just in a quiet little lab. And finally, here's the thing that's so important. Validation never truly ends. Stage 3 is all about continuous monitoring. Even after a product is out on the shelves, every single batch is scrutinized to make sure that process stays perfectly in control, day in and day out. So we've got the stages down, but how do companies actually apply them? Well, there isn't just one way to do it. It's not a one-size-fits-all situation. Companies actually choose their validation strategy based on the product, its history, and the specific manufacturing setup. So the 2 most common approaches you'll hear about are prospective and retrospective. Prospective validation, that's the standard for anything new. A new product, a new facility. You do all the validation work before you start making it for real. Retrospective, on the other hand, does exactly what it sounds like. It looks backwards. It uses historical data from a process that's been around for a while to prove it's been under control all along. Then you've got a 3rd key approach, which is concurrent validation. This one happens in real time during the manufacturing run itself. It's used in very specific situations where you need to generate that validation data on the fly as the product is literally being made. This table here really lays it all out pretty clearly. Prospective is before, using pre-planned protocols. Concurrent is during, using real-time data. And retrospective is after, digging into historical records. Each one is a different tool for a very specific job. Okay, but what if something changes? A process can't just stay validated forever if things are shifting around. This is where the idea of revalidation comes in. You can think of it like a mandatory checkup. So, revalidation is basically what it sounds like. It means repeating some, or maybe even all of that original validation work. You do it to prove that even after a pretty significant change, the process is still in a state of control and is still making a high-quality product. And what kinds of things trigger a revalidation?
Oh, any number of things, really. Moving production to a totally new plant, changing a step in the process, making the batches way bigger or smaller, or even just tweaking the product's formula. And of course, if several batches in a row fail to meet specs, that's a huge red flag. It's a system that's designed to catch any little deviation.
So, after digging into all these technical details, let's bring it back to what really matters here: your trust and your safety. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? Process validation is not some box you check off once and forget about. It's a living, breathing, ongoing commitment to quality. It's an active assurance that the manufacturing process is, and always remains, completely under control. And that's why we call it the unseen guardian. This constant cycle of design, qualification, and verification, this is the invisible system that works tirelessly in the background to guarantee that every single dose of medicine you take is both safe and effective. It really gets you thinking, doesn't it? What other complex, invisible systems are out there, quietly working to protect and support the things we rely on every single day?